Itchy. Oh, look, we're live.
We live.
Welcome back. I get to start the stream itching my shoulder. That's sexy. You can hear it too. It looks like, because I've been looking to pick up a new guitar. I want to get a nice. I've had a Gibson Les Paul before, but I've never had like a really nice,
like a non-chambered.
Well, no, it wasn't non-chambered. It was a Gibson Les Paul
bastard.
from 2005. So that was before they started chambering them. So I'm getting $5,000 to do this. What would you, for my studio, let's say I'm going to spend about $2,500 on the guitar. So that leaves $2,500 left over. You know my studio.
I know the gist.
What would you buy?
Well, I'm trying to think. So what do you want to do with it? Like what's the function of your studio? The primary function?
I want that to change over time. I would love to start doing some music.
Okay, let's change it then. So what does your studio make the most money doing?
Video.
Like in ideal. Okay. So
I think I know what I want. A new camera.
Here we go. I didn't even have to say anything. I already figured out where's the ROI. So I think in your case,
ROI, and this is the problem. What I have a problem with ROI is this is free money. So it doesn't necessarily need an ROI.
No, but I mean, like, it should be like, if you get money, I think a certain bulk percentage of it should go to something that will end up making you more money.
Yeah, that's
kind
fair. So if I went with like
people who don't think that way are the people that win the lotteries and go broke the next day. Those are like, if you're not thinking like that, it's usually, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I guess I'll try to look into.
But so anyway, so excluding the ROI aspect of it, or the ability of turning money into more money.
I was thinking
probably has a more
Rackmount pre. I was thinking.
I was going to say preamps. One of the first things that jumped out at me is some decent outboard processors.
Okay.
And those don't even have to be that expensive. Like I just cinched myself a DBX expander
286?
limiter compressor. No, I forget what it is. Something XL. I think it's a 166 XL.
Okay.
And it's a decent little box, 2-channel. It's cheap. DBX stuff is not expensive for the most part.
No.
But I would get like a good solid tube compressor, but again for $2,500, like you can get in that range. You could get for $2,500. You could get an SSL. You could get an SSL alpha channel, X-Logic alpha channel, which has a built-in dynamic section, built-in EQ, built-in preamp in one single 1U rack mount thing, and it's SSL, so it's good, decent quality.
Yeah.
Again, SSL, as we talked about before, isn't known for like preamps, but the preamps are still great, and their EQs are a little legendary, and the compressors also are a little legendary. So the only thing
legendary. I love that. Just a
smidge,
touch legendary.
Just a touch legendary. But no, they're there's tons of software emulations of their E series EQs and their E and G series dynamics. So their compressors and
that's a hell of a $2,500 pre. Well, I
it's
guess
not that much. You would have some money to. Well, let me look it up here. Let me look it up on my distributor.
We have one person watching. Hello, whomever it is.
And it's not me. It's not me.
Oh, yeah, I know. I saw you drop off. I saw we had one viewer and it dropped. Oh, look, we're up to 2.
It's because I'm tired of being monetized to watch my own damn video.
Hey man, you're supporting the channel.
Okay, so here, so the SSL X-Logic Alpha channel is actually only $1,400.
Okay.
So you could get that and have room for some other stuff.
Okay.
So if I was you, I might get one of those. Even though again, channel strips are one of those things that are so highly.
Turia. That's a
is
cool
that like?
name.
It's like Archeria with
K-T-E-R-U-Y-A. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the live
Katruya.
Dylan's just spending my money for me.
Oh yeah, I'm so good. So many people in my life give me such shit on a regular basis because, like, my boss called me one day. He's like, "I can't get off the phone with you without spending fucking money." I'm like,
Oh no, I call you. You're the reason. Actually, right behind me, this side, there's the Studio Live AR8. You're the reason I bought that. I way back I asked you what kind of
I remember
board
that.
I should be running with. So I don't mind if I spend your money or you spend my money or yeah.
Oh, actually, speaking of, so I got an interesting little vintage talking piece to bring a little show and tell today. So I got gifted this little fella today. So this is a black box, a mysterious black box. But this is yes. So that's what I was going to say. So this is a Shure phono preamp.
Oh.
Actually made by, and it's a beefy little sucker, as you can tell. But this is old, and I can tell it's old because again, underneath it actually says Shure Brothers.
Yeah.
like I saw that, I'm like, they're brothers. I didn't even know that.
That's in mint condition, man.
I know. No, this was a nice little find.
So that's just a preamp.
So it's a turntable preamp, like for a record player.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's got high level and low level outputs. It's got inputs, and then the thing I think is kind of interesting that I don't normally see on these kinds of preamps is there's actually basic phono like record turntable 101. When you're mastering something for vinyl, you apply what's known as RIAA equalization, basically an EQ curve that rolls off all the low end and increases the high end. And then at the receiving end, so on the turntable side, you then have an EQ that does like reverse RIAA, so it cranks the bass and it lowers the highs, which is one of the reasons why turntables oftentimes, if you don't have good feet on them, like mine is like literally has these needles for feet. So, but if you ever don't have good and you crank your speakers, you'll get like low end feedback.
Yeah,
it's because they're cranking it. But so this thing, normally that's just built in. That's, you don't even have to think about that. But this thing actually has a switch for that. Ooh. So I can switch between flat, which is what it's set to right now, phono, which is obviously RIAA, and then funnily enough, the bottom option is tape.
Tape.
So there's actually a tape curve. So I'd be interested to like play a record and hear what the tape curves, because I've never. Again, that's built into most tape machines.
So that thing is 1970s, I'm guessing, just by the style.
It looks like it, right? I know it looks like it.
That switch is a 1970s style switch that is on everything.
There's one of the thing that annoys me too is the power switch, same style of switch. It's at the back. Like why? Like why couldn't you just put everything on the front? You asshole.
Well, there's before rack mounted stuff, or at least. Yeah.
Well, so this has little ears on it, but it's nothing that's standardized. Like it's meant to like bolt under a cabinet or whatever.
That's kind of cool. So, all right, so Dylan's spending the money, $5,000 for studio. I want to get a guitar.
So get the guitar. So we'll say that's maybe $2,500.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What guitar would you buy? I'm looking at the
it's
PRS.
Your guitar. I'm not going to tell you.
Cutaway. No, you know what I like. I'm a Gibson Les Paul guy.
Get a PRS.
You think so?
Get a PRS.
Would you go for the? And this is the one thing that blows my mind. If you go out and you buy a Gibson Les Paul Jr. or Gibson Les Paul Studio, juniors are different. The very few things separate.
I have a Les Paul Studio right over there.
Yeah, very few things separate the Studio from the standard. The Studio basically has...
The only thing is the look, really. I mean,
the look and the pickups. They have Alnico Pros instead of Alnico Pro 2s for pickups. With PRS, is a lot of the same thing. You spend $1,800 on a PRS or $1,500. You're getting basically their main model without all the flame top. I don't need that crap.
Yeah.
So would you go just entry level PRS? As long as it's not bolt on or glue on.
Ultimately, this is going to be something that you're going to use in the studio. So I would, who cares what it looks like? I mean, there was a bass that I was looking at actually at one of Long and McQuaid, like a retailer for anyone who's not in Canada, big music retailer, and they had this 6-string bass, and it was an active like this thing had like 8 knobs on it. And it had more electronics than I've ever seen in a guitar, and it was a full 6-string bass. So, but I just saw it and I plugged it in. I listened to it, but it was just plain white, no crazy color, just white.
I like that. I like that
maple fretboard. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm using this stuff in the studio. I think the flashiest bass that I have, which actually is behind me right now, is probably my Les Paul-esque Washburn Idol. And but even then, like this thing, I use it because it's the only bass that I have that has humbuckers on it. So it's got such a beefy bass tone.
Yeah, really, really rich.
Yeah, but not good for slap bass or anything like that because it's just got no high end at all. But this bass that I saw on my way, I was like, oh my god, this thing could get every sound under the sun. P bass, J bass, that thing, like anything. But it looked very unassuming. Other than it had
David
IBM worth of knobs.
David just broke my heart. He said Gibson good, PRS bad. I've had a love affair.
Way to Gibson, bye.
I do love Gibson, and I would probably go buy a Gibson Les Paul Standard. I've always wanted a PRS. Always. I don't know why. I've played them
especially
all.
with your style. With your style, I feel like PRS is like kind of synonymous with like metal.
But it's not just the metal too. I mean, look at Carlos Santana. Dude plays.
I was just gonna bring up Santana. I was just gonna bring up Santana.
And a lot of my music has a bluesier edge when I'm just playing my own stuff. I don't necessarily play covers. So I've always loved the feel. I prefer the thickness of the Gibson. The Les Paul, the Gibson Les Paul has a weight to it that just
it has a meatier feel.
You could anchor somebody down with it.
Well, even mine, which is chambered, and it's still it's a heavy feller.
You can feel it when you're on stage for a couple hours with that. So I don't know. I'm gonna try out the PRS. I do like their single cutaway style, the Gibson Les Paul kind of style that they have that they got sued over. So we'll see. Okay, so beyond that, then let's say I only spend $2,000 and I've got $3,000 left. You just spent $1,400 of it on the SSL pre.
Yeah, so I'd say the SSL. So let's say we've got about $900 left.
Okay.
So with that, or $1,400 to $1,100. We got $1,100. Yay math. Yay math. So I would say if I were you, I would. I mean, you've got decent system hardware. So if you wanted to build a new computer, I don't think you probably
that's already taken care of. Don't worry about the computer. I'm going to be doing that later on this year. That's a whole.
I would invest because you want to start getting into more music-y kind of stuff. So I would start investing in some more software components, both from just a basic processors, but also creative tools, like some of the stuff that Isotope offers. Like for example, Isotope Trash. There's a company called Output. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Output.
I wouldn't invest in Arcade. Arcade is their subscription. Like, we'll give you new stuff. I'm like, no, get out of there. But they've got some. They still like a lot of all the major players. They still got some flat out, and their stuff is really innovative. Like some of their like effect synths that they have. Like they have a particle synthesizer that you can just put on an instrument, and like it's neat. Without getting too deep down there, but so I would say that. And then that would not only give you more creative freedom for your own stuff, but that would also give you more stuff to make content about, which leads to more money.
Yeah, and that's
ROI, a consideration too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
but
kind of
because with the SSL, there's not much ROI on that, and that's the problem with that stuff.
I mean you can do a review on it, and it will definitely serve you well. Because it's it's a very well made piece of machinery.
Yeah, but, and that's the thing. Like I'm working. I've considered dropping $1,000 on some stuff like a decent set of plugins for EQ, like getting one of those really nice Waves packages. So I don't know. We'll see. It's I'll let you know when I start to purchase, when it starts to happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
Even investing in Nimbus clouds and just some more acoustic treatment, because I mean I think you mentioned before that you barely noticed a difference with the stuff that's on your wall.
No,
so
you know what?
That might be.
Well, did you watch the last video?
The one on the USB cable?
Yeah.
The XLR? Yes.
What did you think of the sound? No, the room sound.
The
room sound.
Not bad. What do you think it sounds like?
It's not bad, and basically all I have is directly behind me. I've got one panel, two of the foams, and behind me while I'm talking, you can see it on the wall. I've got 4 panels, and both sides of the wall is treated with 2 pieces each of the foam. So I still have more foam. I think I might look into getting some of the Orlex panels rather than the foam.
Yeah, the panels are substantially more effective. Either Orlex or Prime Acoustic.
Yeah. So I don't know. Or I can build more panels because I know they actually do work quite well. And just blanket the whole room in them. I don't want to do that, but So I don't know. That is another option. I don't know how much I want to spend the $5,000 on room acoustics when I'm doing a video and it doesn't sound that bad. Like it didn't. I'm not in a recording.
No,
studio.
it's not so much for the when you're recording. It's if you're gonna start mixing and doing videos on mixing
Yes.
and like maybe investing in good monitors. The acoustics are much more important for that. Like you can have a room that sounds decent for recording, but as far as like how the sound interacts with your ears in that room, totally different.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I'm not quite there yet. Like I've got a pair of PreSonus Era C8s that I love the sound. Like I love the I don't have a second pair of monitors, which I might look into getting as well to do some A/B comparisons, but I'm also not mixing music right now, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see if that happens.
Really
so I got a question for you. You mentioned this. You talked to somebody at Shure for a certain reason.
Yes, I did. So, so anyone who's been on these lives before, or maybe some of our recurring visitors, may notice I'm using a different pair of headphones this week than my usual SRH 940s. And the SRH 940s have endured. They're in the hospital right now. They're getting some treatment.
On a ventilator.
So here's so I've realized some interesting things, and kudos to Shure because their service is awesome. I was so just briefly to touch on that. So I called them to order a replacement headband for the SRH 940s, which actually has a part number. So I was like, great, cool. I'll order from them. It's like $35 or $93 from Long McQuaid. No thanks. But so I called Shure and I hit the button for like their repairs and service department, and the phone didn't even ring like half a time, and I was on with some guy.
Yeah,
Chris.
they're good.
And I was so thrown off. He's like, "Hey, Chris, repairs." I'm like, "Let me figure out what I was gonna say." Like, are you ever that guy? Like, do you ever plan on there being hold time so you can like fabricable what you're gonna say in your head before you talk? Like, so I always plan on that, and then this guy answers like, but then he starts asking me all kinds of questions, and he was like, "Are you tech exempt?" I'm like, define tech exempt. I have no idea what that means.
Tech exempt.
I'm like, all these words,
an
right?
Insult, eh? Like, are you tech exempt? Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? I'm like, I'm not a retailer. He's like, well, no, it's more like if you're like an NSA member. I'm like, but no, it was like the guy had a really good sense of humor, and we had a productive discussion. And I was gonna order it, but then of course he's like, I was like, he's like, where am I sending him? I'm like, I live in Canada. Is that gonna be a problem? He's like, yep. I'm like,
wow, not really. They have distributors here. You call. In fact,
I'll have to call their people.
They're great. Actually, I know the Rode distributor. I know her quite well. Actually, I've been on and off discussions with her way back when I got the Rode PSA 1 replaced. A lot of the times when you call the distributor and you say, "Hey, this broke. I know it's out of its warranty period, but this shouldn't break." They'll go, "Okay, here's."
So here's the issue. And this was the other thing with the guy about, and this is sort of part of my gripe a little bit, and not with Shure, but with just how we structure warranties. So I make audio for a living. The SRH 940s are like my primary set of tracking / occasionally mixing headphones. If they break, that's a problem.
That's a money problem.
Of course. Well, especially if it's in the middle of a workday, which happened to be in this particular instance. So, yeah. So I needed to fix them or do something to them that helped them. So of course, my trusty friend cyanoacrylate came to the rescue. Trusty friend. Yes, my trusty pal cyanoacrylate. If something breaks, glue it. That's my main. Glue it. Super glue saved my life.
It works, dude. It works.
It works. Not as great as epoxy, but it works. So I did that, and of course, as soon as you try to fix it yourself, void warranty.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It's the headband's $35. Like, I don't care. Just give me the headband. I'll do it myself. Like, not a huge deal.
And they will do that.
Yep, they will do that. I have to go through their distro.
If you develop. So my backup, this is, you can't see this, but all of the material is off the earmuffs, and it's an old pair, and I mean old pair. It's an Audio-Technica ATH M40 FS. This is before they had the new lineup. I forget what they're called. Ken says your level sounds awesome, Aiden. Dylan has a ton of room noise though. Is it just my ears, or is Mr. Producer running in a don't give a crap mode? No, that's just he's in a square box that doesn't have any treatment on it.
Let me see. So. Hang on. Da, 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 da. Ha. It's also probably a little louder than it should be.
No,
I had to bring it down because I was doing jingle work earlier this week, which involved yelling.
So I've got this pair of incredibly old ATH M40 FS. This was back when these things cost almost $200. Like this was the second down from the 50 FS, which was the top of the line at the time. Now they've changed it M50X, M70X they've got, but it's all like falling apart. I can't hear you, Dylan.
What?
Are you? Oh, you're playing?
I just flipped over just to check my. Again, I'm also not using my normal cans, which
Now you sound fine. Don't listen to Ken. Ken's just messing. Ken. So my backup.
So anyway, sorry.
You go ahead.
I didn't know you were not done.
Oh, so this backup, and I had the same thing. I've got the little plastic clips up near the top of the headband that have started to come off because there's an adhesive in there that just came undone. So, like, I'm in the same boat where do I replace them and keep these as my backup as the 440s? What do I do? So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, man.
So I spent a lot of time, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, looking at the structure of Shure headphones, because other than these 440s, somewhat ironically, like I have 840s and 940s, both of which have suffered tragic incidents. But ironically, the cheap ones, for some reason, are still... Well, so here's the thing. The 940s, so here's what happened. Again, I treat my gear very well, contrary to what this conversation might make you think. My 840s and 940s have never left this room since they got taken out of their boxes. They sit on a table. They've never fallen on the floor. One time on Monday, I was talking to a rep and I had to get up to do something and the cable got caught.
Yeah.
And I put the headphones on right beside my workstation and they fell, but they didn't hit the ground. Like the cable held them off the ground. So I was like, okay, cool. One fall. That's all it took. And I realized so this is something to know if you're ever investing in high-end Shure headphones, or even these, it's pretty much the same design. I have no idea how these haven't gotten borked yet, to be honest. But so the structural weakness of these headphones is the extension bars.
Yeah, those are the clips. That clip right above the extension bar is what broke on me.
See, the clips are not, for me, it's this bar itself, the little thin little pieces. And there's a reason for that. Is because I after looking at it, I realized the design of it is basically there's a guide piece that's just a straight piece of nylon. These are all nylon construction. Straight piece of nylon that comes from the headband, and then that attaches to a U channel that's attached to the cup. And they are inside each other, like the guide piece.
They have sex with each other.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly. So the U channel on the side, there's like, the problem with the U channel is the sides of that U are like 2 millimeters thick by like a millimeter wide piece of nylon. So obviously the sides of these are really prone to cracking. It happened on my last pair, the 940s. And so this is what I've learned. The worst thing that can happen when your headphones fall, contrary to what intuition says, the worst thing that can happen is that the cable stops them from hitting the ground. And the reason for that is this. If I demonstrate it, so if these are falling and the cable stops them, where does all that tension go? Right there.
That makes sense.
Right there. So what I noticed, and sure enough, watch me break these now. So that was my hypothesis. And sure enough, the break was on the side with the cable attachment, and the other side was completely unaffected.
Great.
So never try to avoid the worst thing that can happen to your Shure headphones, or a lot of headphones, I'm sure, is that they get caught on the cable in the head, and the cable like nooses them.
See, mine falls. I've got a little hook underneath my desk. It's actually one of the things I talked about. One of the best things for a studio is to have a hook underneath your desk. Mm-hmm. It's great because you put your headphones there. They're off the desk. You don't have to worry about them. And they've fallen that 2-foot drop to the floor probably 100 times.
But the thing about the 440s that's actually good is these are very lightweight.
Yeah.
The 940s are easily, 2 or 3 pounds heavier than these.
Oh, really?
So the 940s, even the 840s, which, I mean, to be fair, they are just better built headphones. And again, it makes me sad about this structural weakness, which is why currently I've got some epoxy curing. I've noticed actually, again, I'm really trying to save these. I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
But so what I've noticed, and I'm trying to take advantage of it, is on these headphones, just engineering wise, there's a little crease right in there on this extension piece. So I'm I've filled that crease with acrylic, and then I'm covering it with epoxy to seal it in to try and refortify that.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
It's the only thing I think of. I'll probably never be able to like retract them again, but my head's not going to get any smaller.
Well, you can also keep that side, one side retracted and one side completely. Like you wouldn't have an issue with that, right?
Yeah, it would look a little lopsided, but
by the way,
I'd say it would fulfill the purpose.
I just bought the Zoom ZDM1 mic pack to have a backup microphone and discovered that the Zoom headphones are very flat. I'm listening to you guys on them lighter than the 440s. The Zoom headphones, I didn't mind. They were rather flat. I found them kind of be just meh. They was okay. Nothing really blew my mind on them. I find when you get into some of the intricate tones and when you're doing music, the Zoom ones, like even listening to music, there was some of the frequencies that I didn't like on the headphones. For the Zoom.
I have to say, so the difference between the 840s and the 940s, as far as sound goes, the 940s definitely have a slightly higher, clearer bass than the 840s, and the high end is quite pronounced. Like I found actually when I first put them on and was listening to tunes just to acclimatize my ears to them, I found that like sibilance in like professionally mastered recordings.
Oh,
like,
really? Yeah.
Pop recordings was driving me crazy how sibilant they were. But that said, so difference in general, I would say, is not massive between the 840s and 940s. The difference between the 440s and the 840s, night and day.
So you're saying I should pick up an 840. By the way, pull the mic a little closer to you. Your compression's trying to kick you out. There you go.
Because I just my expansion.
Yeah.
My expansion.
So
but yeah, so I would say as long as you're cognizant, as long as you're cognizant of that little structural weakness, Shure headphones, again, they're super comfortable.
Yeah.
And the quality for the price is great. So I can't really say other than that small unfortunate structural issue here, and hopefully in future. Now with the open back models in the SRH series, like the 1540s and the 1840s, that's not a problem because those have a completely different design.
So those are for mixing, right? Those are for
yes.
Yeah.
I have a pair of 1540s. They're awesome.
Yeah,
but again, you can't use them. Can't use them for recording though.
I was considering grabbing them, keeping the 440s for recording, and getting the 1540s for everything else.
The only thing, and tell me about this if you notice this. I notice this with my 440s, even right now as we're talking, very clicky.
Yeah.
I find they're very clicky, and the 840s and 940s aren't that way. They're obviously tighter built. But I find that the actual plastic creaks and clicks around a lot as I move.
A little bit, yeah.
It's not only can I hear it in recordings sometimes, especially quieter recordings, but on top of that, it's really distracting.
Well, here's a question then, because apparently the 840s come with the same pleather ear crap that I hate. The 940s come with the nice velour.
So comfortable.
Now,
so comfortable.
Apparently, the velour cups will fit the 840s. So you can buy...
Yeah, the diameter's the same size.
Exactly. Oh, beautiful. So I'm going to get some velour cups and put it on there.
Yeah, you can get a pair of like replacement ear pads from Shure on like eBay or whatever for like peanuts.
I think I might call Shure and just get them to send them to me.
Or do that.
One of the benefits of like...
Or call their distributor.
Maybe I'll do a video on it? I don't know. Cups and earphones.
I mean, I think, again, like, especially, like, earlier this week, I had to reproduce a jingle for one of our clients, which is not something I've ever had to do for a client before. It was quite the task. But, so that said, like, for, like, 8 hours straight, I'm wearing headphones. If they're not comfortable, it's not going to work for me.
These ones are not bad.
It's one complaint that I've heard a lot about the Sennheiser 280s, the HD 280s, is that they are very tight.
Yes, they are. They
are still over ear, but they're notoriously tight, which I'm sure is planned for isolation. But at the same time, like, have they on my head?
You know what? It's the same thing with every. Whenever you have the headphones that have not noise cancellation, but they complete the seal, so you outside sounds don't leak in. they've got to be tight. They've got to be spring loaded on your head. Otherwise.
Oh yeah, which I think is the other thing. Like these joints, it's sort of a slight criticism of Shure. Like if there's any part of the headphones that you probably don't want to skimp out on, like I actually measured it, and there's like when the 940s are on a head, there's 3 pounds of pressure being put on these things.
Holy crap.
On these joints. Like, which 3 pounds doesn't sound like a lot, but if you know physics, that's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
For a tiny little piece of plastic. And that's not including like when you take the headphones off your head, which you're putting even more pressure on.
Yeah.
Them. So
well,
I actually saw,
That's what I'm a little worried about. And that's where this clip up here has started to give out. So the clip basically just screws on. And on the inside, I noticed the last time I took it apart, there's this little piece of adhesive that holds the leather or the pleather from the top strap into the clip. So when you slide it in and out,
so it acts almost like a little fake hinge.
Yeah,
almost.
But it also it holds it to the top strap. So if this little clip comes out, the plastic clip comes off.
You're talking about like right here.
Yeah,
right? Like right in this.
If
crease.
that plastic clip comes off, which it did in the middle of my morning show, your whole ear will just fall off. And it'll hang by the wires. So I had to go on. I had to reattach. I haven't gone back to redo the adhesive. I was
gonna say just do that. Yeah.
I'm going to, but the problem is I'm also like a little irritated that I'm at that position 2 years after buying headphones. Yeah. And the cups are already starting to degrade a bit, so I'm starting to get that flaky shit on them.
Really?
Yeah.
I've had these for like 6 or 7 years, and they're still.
I've got cracks. But they're your backup pair.
No, but like these used to be like these when someone comes to record, which used to be a regular occurrence before COVID. They would use these. Like these were used like daily.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's the pH of my sweat or something. But right here, there's cracks right at the bottom, which that's why I want the nice velour ones that I can take off and wash.
The velour, and they are very comfortable. I must admit.
Oh, they must also like seal to your head better. The velour must.
They breathe like they're less irritating. I find on the skin like these, like I'm having to do this every 5 seconds because I'm like they're super itchy.
Drew at Nordell MRRC says I go through so many microphone Q&A channels, and this is the single one that I've subscribed to. You deserve more subscribers, man. Thanks, Drew.
Mazel tov.
I appreciate that. Yeah, as well to Dylan as well. That's awesome.
This isn't my channel. I'm not going to take credit for this channel. It's not my channel.
That's Dylan's way of saying that he doesn't agree with all the videos that have gone up on this channel.
No, I'm just saying I don't take credit for stuff that doesn't involve me, unlike some people.
I don't take credit for stuff that doesn't. Well, okay, there was that one thing.
Yeah. See, I said some people. See, I was implying like Don Cherry did, which got him fired.
Yeah, that's what done. Is Aston Stealth good? Yes. Aston's lineup of microphones are fantastic for their price. They're a small company that is really overlooked a lot. And I'm not exactly sure why, because they have that unique factor to them. I would say I got the Aston, what was the Aston? Origin. And I loved it. Like, it was a fantastic mic. It's unique. Why aren't more unique microphones being used like that? I know it's a condenser, so some people are like,
Segue.
Uh-oh.
Another toy.
Oh,
you got another toy.
What is that? You shook it around. Don't shake it.
So this is a Sennheiser. I mean, this is the sleeve for it, but this is I got this little freebie this week too. A Sennheiser 835 E835, which is a.
I was going to sell one.
This is actually
I got mine right here.
Very good mic.
Yeah, and it's actually a little bit better than the SM58.
I agree. It's sparklier. It's shinier. I find it's clearer. Actually, it's less muddy.
We're mic twinsies.
Mike
Torture. By
Rose.
the way, not to cut you off really quick. Torture says, "I'm in UK, so I can get it for around 200." Yes, get the Aston Stealth is a fantastic mic.
Aston, a lot of Aston stuff is good. Like,
yeah. Let me look up the Aston Stealth one more time before, because they've got a few. I don't like their naming scheme, to be honest. Because they've got one that's Aston Stealth broadcast quality condenser studio live microphone. That is the pencil mic, if I am correct.
Pencil microphone.
For studio and stage, 4 switchable voices delivering unparalleled performance. Class A built to make a 48-volt Phantom. Is this the one with the... I can never tell. Because the Stealth, I think, is the one with the laser. So it'll point to exactly where it's pointed at. Yes, it's a fantastic mic. Long story short, it's great for $200. 200 pounds? Yeah, that's on par. That's about what we would get it for in Canada too.
200 quid.
200 quid. So enjoy that. So you got the E835. Now, I've been kind of mulling this over. I've had this for quite some time. I never use it. And I'm actually going through a bit of a fire sale right now. I'm actually considering starting to sell off some of the equipment that's just laying around. Like, I have no use for...
I've got a lot of that.
The Heil PR40. I have no use for the PR40.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
My voice with extra sibilance is like death. I can't
get rid of it.
Yeah. So I'm looking to start selling stuff. Then I look at the E835. Which one would you keep? The SM58 or the E835?
58, just because it's a 58, obviously. Like if you have to get rid of one.
I have 2 of them. The one that's got the I've got one that's full and then the one that I ripped apart. So, would you sell the one that's ripped apart? The one that I took the transform. No, the SM58.
The 58. No, I mean I'd keep that around. It's a good conversation piece.
Yeah, I guess
it's
so.
Probably it's probably actually more useful than a regular 58 is.
Well, so I'm going through this whole thing and I'm like trying to piece out stuff that like I can't get rid of the Stellar X2. I'm on the Stellar X2 right now. I love the sound of it. I have no issues with this microphone whatsoever. But then I've got do I need my NT2A anymore? Should I keep my NT2A? I guess I probably should.
Keep it.
All right. I'm saying with the cycle of this though, I can get other stuff. And what I was thinking is if I can get rid of the Heil PR40 NT2A, my old board, the Studio Live AR8, I could probably get the AKG C414 XLS.
If you could get it, I'd go for it. It's a good mic.
Yeah. Drew says, I'll take the 58. I'm supposed to make money off of it, Drew. I'm still not. I'm still not super paid through YouTube.
That's like one of my when we did a bit of a decommission walkthrough at work earlier this week and just vultured a bunch of stuff that they're getting rid of. My boss kept sending messages to the engineer and the subject was just "May I?" and then a picture of at like 8:30 at night. And I think at one point he wanted to get one of the exciters, like the FM exciters from. I'm like, what the, like. He's like pointing at it. I'm beside him. I'm like, what are you going to use that for?
What do you need an FM exciter for?
Yeah, what do you need an exciter for? Like, why do you need to modulate a carrier signal with audio for? Like,
that's amazing. Working at a radio station, and I know this for a fact. A lot of announcers will, like, if they're leaving, they'll take a few things with them. Like, almost every announcer is like, I'll take that microphone. I'll take this. I'll take that. Throw it in their bag and walk out. And I'm like...
But it's almost like klepto, though. Like, there's... Also, I should show you what my boss gave me. This is something that I'm never, ever going to have any use for, ever.
Okay. I'm curious. How far away is it?
Look at this.
All right. Okay, it's right... What in the heck? All right. Take your time. It's
nonsense.
Okay. Yeah. The heck is that?
So this is a phone mixer.
Oh no. That could come in handy.
But to describe what it does, basically, it takes 4 mic inputs. So there's 4 XLRs on the back, and it sends them all to one XLR output.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, no, I know why. It's for sending stuff to a phone, but I don't send stuff to a phone. So,
well, if you've got limited inputs on your mixer, I guess you could always.
That said, I did manage to get my hands on this nice like Gentner phone hybrid, which
nice. Well, yeah, but then you need a landline. Do you even have a landline?
I do, but just because it came with my package, I don't even have a phone. I don't even have a phone for it. It's just sitting there.
free stuff from stations is great.
Yeah, free stuff. My boss literally, like, we're walking around and he literally just hands this. He's like, "You want this?" I'm like, what is this?
Do you guys?
What, you just?
Do you guys have any turntables?
Nope.
See,
Not
and
anymore.
there's a lot of older radio stations that will just throw out all of their stuff, including like a bunch of turntables. We're talking like the Techniques, the really nice ones.
Proper industry. My boss scored a tape, like a Tascam old Tascam tape deck.
Yeah.
Like the original rack mount, like broadcast cassette decks. Like it was like this thing was packed to the teeth with features. I'm like,
I was talking to
nice
my engineer Glenn, and I needed a turntable. I still need a freaking turntable. I don't want to spend the money on it, but I need one. And I have no idea what you're doing. I'm going to ignore that. And he's like, "Oh, dude, I just threw out like 12 of them." What do you mean you just threw out 12 of them?
threw out?
They cost $1,500 a piece. Yeah, but we don't need them. And
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't have the patience to sit through and liquidate
and that's
stuff.
the thing. Symmetrics, are they the 928 or 928Es?
I think the 528s.
528s.
That's the channel strip, right?
Yeah, the channel strip. They threw out 35 of them. And they sell for like $900 brand new. I'm like, dude, hook me up next time you're just throwing crap out. And he's like, well, I don't need them. I don't want to hold on.
Yeah,
to
well,
them.
but I might need them though.
Yeah.
What about?
I'll take 5 if they're just going into the garbage. Like,
exactly.
I'll sell 2 or 3 on eBay. So find yourself a radio engineer and become
and just be
friends
buds.
with them.
Yeah.
It's amazing with the kind of stuff they'll just. I remember Glenn, my engineer, came up to me and he's like, "Here's a phone hybrid." What do you mean a phone hybrid? Yeah, it's just a phone hybrid. Yeah, go ahead, take it. Okay, I don't have a landline. I ended up selling it to a buddy of mine.
The thing is though, is like phone hybrids are going to become a dying breed because stations don't use phone hybrids anymore. It's all done through like VoIP phone, like virtual phone hybrid stuff, like the telex stuff. So it's like all these, like the one that I have, which again is like a really nice phone hybrid actually. It's like the one you remember at CKDJ, the silver one. It's basically that exact model. But it's I mean it's great for doing, I guess, phone interviews. But even now, we're like, who the hell does phone interviews anymore?
Well, I mean, actually, a lot of people
do this. We'll just do this.
The phone hybrid
is
a lot stable, a lot more stable for a phone hybrid.
Yeah, phones are a lot. Yeah,
phone doesn't just go out
unless someone's on a cell phone.
Yeah,
unless someone's on a cell phone, which most people are.
I had no need for it. I'm not going to have a phone line in this house, but just the stuff like that. You just like randomly like, here, have one. Okay.
So this brings me to some fun news. So I'm going to be making some changes in the studio. I'm going to be doing some renovations because I'm getting the desk that I have at work, which is this massive, 96-inch wide by 46-inch deep workstation, two 14U racks on each side, like beast. So they're just giving that to me.
Amazing.
They're just giving that to me, so that's going to take up a ton of space.
How are you getting it to your place?
Well, I'm going to have to disassemble it at the station once engineering does their shit and takes all their gear out of it.
Are you going to take it on the bus with you?
No, I'm gonna have. I have an ex-coworker with a pickup. Yes, I'm gonna take the top, which is 96 inches long, on a London Transit bus.
Bring a camera with you and just do that. Could you do?
Just do it. I'll get a GoPro, just strap it to my head, and you'll just get to see just the insanity.
That's a good idea.
Trying to negotiate that.
I like that.
I love those. So one thing me and my boss managed to score was the TVs in Master Control. They're getting rid of those. So we got 2 TVs, just free TVs. Out of the deal. And you we operate in a building with Bell, like with a competitor. They are our landlords. So it's like 8:00 at night. We're in Master Control, like taking TVs off the wall with masks on. Like you should have seen the looks we were getting from the Bell people. They're like, well, we feel like we should say something, but we also don't care. So bye.
You work for another company. I don't care.
Because like any radio station, we're in a fishbowl, right? They're in Master Control. Like we're like everyone's watching us do this as they're walking by, and the people are just like.
I've gone in to borrow mics from the station because we're in the same situation. We're in another station's building, and I was going in to borrow an RE20, and so I just grab it walking out. You can see people looking at you like, "Are you allowed to take that?"
Yeah, exactly.
Later. There's video cameras everywhere.
Especially like microphones, I feel like are one thing, but like TVs, I
Yeah,
feel like
TVs
that's such a stereotypical like douchebag thief thing to like. That's what every thief goes for is the TVs.
See,
in
it's
like
not
pop culture.
The TV isn't what I want. I want the wall mount for it. Like all the wall
Yeah,
mounts
I
they've got
feel you.
for it.
I wanted to take the wall mount, but
So I've got the OC White low profile boom arm, but I just have it anchored into my desk. So I drilled a hole in my desk and I anchored it in there. But they have wall mounts for them, so you can have everything floating. Your monitor, your low profile arm, all of that. But it costs like $1,200 just for the setup, the anchors for it. And I'm like, but we have them at work. So I'm thinking maybe I go dismantle it. No, I can't do that. So I'm just gonna wait for my engineer.
Your engineer to just pass it on.
Yeah, here, have all this stuff. Anyways,
pass the buck.
So before we go, I have to ask, what were your thoughts on the USB to XLR cable? Are you a fan? Do you like it? Sound quality was horrendous. Anybody that's trying to justify using an XLR to USB,
I mean, on a SM7 particularly bad, but I mean, you know, if you're in a pinch, I guess.
But even that pinch is going to sound like trash.
No, yeah, it's not going to be great.
I could see it if you're using a condenser mic. That probably wouldn't sound as bad because you don't need as much gain. It was the gain that really killed it. But the fact that IGN actually said you should use that's the only reason that
with
video,
phantom power.
Yeah. So by the way, if anyone's interested, I do have an XLR to USB cable that I'm looking to get rid of. Cost me $12, man. $12 whole.
Oh God! Well, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I think, yeah, it should.
Coming up on Monday, using an H5 as a mic, kind of going over some of the sound quality of the H5.
Is that the?
Yeah, that's the one where I was smacking my mic.
I'll never forget that. That was just I just saw that on your Facebook page. I didn't even get any context, so I just jump on like a video in your story, and it's just you just. I'm like, what is this? What the hell is this? And then you're like picking hairs off them. I'm like, what?
Oh, interesting. Okay. You know what? Before we go, David Sillers brought up 3 essential guitar pedals. Now, before I let you get into that.
Dear.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Drew also said, I set my gain to 0 this week and my mic must be broken because it sounded great. Nice.
That's fine.
3 essential guitar pedals. Dylan, what 3? If you could only buy 3, and obviously you don't.
Well, again, this is such a loaded question. I can't get over how loaded this question is. Okay. It depends what genre. I mean, I can speak to what pedals I would use. I think one pedal that generally even the metal guys stay away from is what's the Boss? Is it the Metal Driver?
The Metal Zone.
Metal Zone. It's a piece of garbage. Like
I owned one.
Well, again, I mean, the way they're marketing it, right? You would think, well, Metal Zone, duh.
It had its place in the early 2000s. Okay, it did have a unique sound in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and it still does, I guess, in like new metal.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. So, I always had a compression pedal.
Compression pedals are great. Yeah. I would say, particularly, I think a good all-rounder distortion, and again, so many people are going to fight with me on this. Which is fine. It's an opinion. I acknowledge that's an opinion, and I'm wrong. There, we've got that out of the way. But I think the like having a good overdrive pedal. I don't like distortion pedals because I find they're very niche. Like they have a very specific purpose. I find overdrive pedals can both act as just a harsh compressor and obviously a nice gentle. Like I find with an overdrive pedal and most amps, I can get a very Marshall-esque tone. Yep. Or if I crank the tone knob, I can get like a Mesa-esque kind of tone with just an overdrive pedal. I think, again, it's so hard because it depends what you do. I think, what are yours?
Okay, so the overdrive, you have the compression and wah, big crybaby.
Wahs are good.
The one pedal that broke my heart to give to sell was my crybaby. I missed like it's also like it goes across genres too. You can use a wah for everything.
To a degree.
I'm not a big fan of chorus. I'm not a big fan of a delay.
Modulation effects. Yeah. Okay, so delays I do like because it depends on what kind of delay though. Like I think it's the Boss DD8, which is like their cream of the crop delay pedal. I don't have it, but I want to add it to my collection just because there's just so much you can do with it.
Yeah.
That said, I have to say I have a synthesizer pedal, and it is fucking awesome.
Who is it?
It's a Boss. It's just the Boss SY1.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's they like lots of companies like Electro Harmonix, I think, were the pioneers of the synth pedal idea. But with this pedal, I can get my guitar to sound like a Hammond organ. Nice. I can get it to sound like I can get bass out of it. Like I can like do like a keyed bass kind of wub wub sound with it, as I call it. I can get drum sounds with my guitar out of like. And I think also the thing I like about it is because I'm a huge fan of using pedals for like arranging. You can use the synth pedal. You can actually hold down the foot switch, and it will freeze. So you can play a chord, hold down the foot switch, and it will freeze that chord as the synth, and you could solo over top of it.
Nice.
So it actually doubles as a freeze pedal.
You can also get a loop pedal for that if you really want.
I have a loop pedal, but I mean, so this I can in sense use in tandem with the loop pedal because I can, or in a live situation I can play a note. Like with a loop pedal, you can't really improvise your accompaniment on the fly. You have to like stop the loop, re-record, like record a new thing. Yeah. Then with the freeze pedal, you can just hit one note, and if you're fast enough, hit the note, freeze it, and then just continue riffing on it. Or that's play a whole chord. So freeze pedals actually, like Electro Harmonix makes the actual normal freeze pedal. But again, I like pedals for me that you can do just a bunch of things with. I like pedals that are, one little box, but I can tweak. So for me, like, sorry, I was just going to say one thing is I like the idea of having modulation effects in my kit, but like I don't want to buy a flanger pedal that just does flanger. No. I want to buy a pedal. I need somebody to make a pedal, and somebody I guarantee already does. It's just not Boss.
Boss probably does.
But they have their like you either have to get a flanger pedal or a chorus pedal or a phaser pedal. It's like why can't I just get something that just
get a multi?
It just does all of these things. Yeah, all these modulation things for the amount that I use them. Like again, one thing that I ended up getting for real cheap was a Boss tremolo pedal, and I like it. It's cool. It's just a tremolo pedal though. Yeah. Like it's a waste of space.
Camille says hello from the Netherlands. Hey, Camille, you're late.
Hello.
David says make of pedal. I just got the Behringer wah for buttons like 20 US. Much better than I anticipated. The Vox that Hendrix used might be next. I've only ever used Boss pedals. I've used a couple small retail. I remember the one came from the east coast of Canada. I can't remember the name of it. I used it for it was a very, very buttery distortion I used for a song I did way back in 08. I love that.
Fuzz pedal?
No, it was a distortion. But I can't remember. It was a small retailer of pedal, and I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, everything I've ever used has been Boss except that one time, as well as the Crybaby.
I swear the three companies I swear by are Boss because their stuff is built like a tank and it sounds great. Dunlop, obviously Crybaby.
Yeah.
And Electro Harmonix. I've never owned an Electro Harmonix, but their stuff, I will give them a lot of credit. Their stuff is really expensive, but they're innovative. Their pedals do stuff that other companies' pedals don't do. Like they come up with really cool ideas for their pedals and they sound really cool. Like I've known some guitarists that have put whole pedal boards together of just Electro Harmonix stuff. And I'm like, are you the Edge? Like you too? Like, what is this? Like some of the sounds they're getting, like I hear strings, like I hear like an orchestra.
That's
what are you doing?
Camille,
what are you doing?
Big Bottle Beer Fun. Thanks, Camille. Appreciate that. Yeah, don't worry. My bottles are waiting for me. Yeah, no, I would try that out. Like, what do you say when you say they're expensive? How much is that for an average pedal?
Well, you're well into the three figures. Like you might be paying $200 or $300.
That's not that bad.
Some. A freeze, like something. I think the freeze pedal's only like maybe $150. I might be mistaken.
That's
but like
not too bad.
Even Boss though, like my Boss S like synth pedal was $300.
Yeah.
But that again, it's packed. Like I can. Again, I'm not going to get into it again, but I can do lots of stuff with that pedal.
I'm going to be using Like I'm getting probably a Gibson or a PRS, and I've also been looking at Keisel. Oh, David, thanks. Cheers, brother. Another £5.
That weed.
The Keisel guitars. Have you heard of them? You remember Carvins back in the day?
Yes. Yes.
Keisel bought Carvin, and Keisel does some really high end stuff with their guitars. It's really pretty. I like the sound. I've never been hands on, and I'm really nervous about going hands on with a guitar for $2,500. Like buying a guitar that I haven't been able to cradle and love and just caress.
Well, again, I've got my Taylor acoustic, my 814C DLX, which is like a $7,000 guitar. Yeah. And like when I got that, I was like, I am playing this every day for the next 25 years. Like,
yeah. Even if
there's no way.
Even if I don't want to, I have to.
Even if it's happening, I have to. It's a daily regimen. But so I've one last point. Right. Slight rant. And this was actually one of the first things that happened this week. I said, I have to talk about this because this is so stupid. So starting out great. So one thing that really is a pet peeve of mine is, and this has to do with software manufacturers, and I will mention one in specifically, so we will get to the gossip. Don't you worry. Is when software manufacturers disable features by default, like just blatantly obvious things that should not be disabled.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
So here's the story behind that. So I was using a sort of industry standard sampler called Contact by Native Instruments, which lots of people have heard of and used. And in certain Contact instruments, and I've got the complete bundle, so I've got a ton of instruments. There are certain virtual libraries that will actually let you design a pattern in the library and export it into your DAW as MIDI. So then you can edit it in your, which I think is actually can be really convenient sometimes. So if you want to do like a drum patch, edit it and then export. Like sometimes the way that they've built the editor into the library is actually more intuitive than editing it on like the piano roll. That's cool. So, I like doing that. So I was using some kind of, I think it was like a Cuban percussion sort of set emulation for a particular track. And I had grabbed the little thingy that you're supposed to grab to drag the MIDI out, and I pulled it out into Pro Tools, let go, nothing. So then I said, okay, well, I'll be a smartass. So I grabbed it, I pulled it into Windows Explorer, and it pulled up that little cursor with the plus sign. That's like, you're about to drop a cool thing here. Dropped it, MIDI file shows up. I'm like, sweet. Pull the MIDI file into Pro Tools, nothing.
Wow.
So then I actually opened the MIDI file in a designated MIDI editor and discovered that there was exactly 0 bytes of information in the MIDI file. So I'm like, what the hell? So I ended up looking this up because I was like, this is a weird thing. And I've done this before with other libraries like years ago. So I'm like, why? There's a checkbox.
Oh, no.
There's a checkbox not in the library. The library is not to blame. In the actual Contact, like preferences setup window, there's under the engine tab, there's a little button that specifies whether or not you want to allow libraries to export MIDI to the outside world. and it defaults as being unchecked.
Released to the wild.
Why?
No.
Why? I don't understand.
My most hated one, and this is the one I was kind of go along with. I own Studio One for Artist. That's a lot of Studio One for Artist. I don't have the fully upgraded Pro because Artist should be good enough. I'm not doing I'm not, but they don't allow you to use non-Studio One plugins. You can't actually use any VST3 plugins at all.
What about AU?
What's that?
What about AU?
I don't know. I haven't tried.
Because there's a couple, like VST is like the one most common.
Yeah.
Steinberg.
I'm not exactly sure. All I know is you have to upgrade to the Pro account just to use VST3 plugins, and I'm like,
and
why?
What's that upgrade? What's the upgrade cost?
It's like $300. Just use come on, like just use.
It's not
plugins.
Great, but
well then okay, so then you're using this great on par with. It's supposed to be on par with Logic as well as Pro Tools. That's the whole point.
So they say.
That's what they say. Yeah, I'm not going to get into which is better. But then you kneecap it like that? Why would you do that?
Well, again, product separation. It's like Nikon arbitrarily remove, like they take their flagship camera, they'll pull out a card slot and take away a couple of buttons, and then they'll knock it down by like $400, even though there's no reason why they needed to do that.
Yeah, the cards, the total of crap was like maybe $30, but you can't use two CF cards or a CF and an
or no, well
SD
they would have the XCD or XFD or whatever the hell the big fat card is called.
Yeah,
and the SD, and it's like
they don't use CF anymore. Yeah, what is it called? Like
I think it's called XCD or something like that.
Anyways,
it's a big fat card. Anyway, it's product differentiation and it's stupid. But that said, I mean, $300 compared to the price that it costs to upgrade Pro Tools, $300 still isn't that much.
I know.
You know how much it costs to upgrade from Pro Tools Standard to Pro Tools Ultimate, which was the single biggest waste of money. It's $2,000.
$2,000
to upgrade from Pro Tools Standard to Pro Tools Ultimate.
Does it come with a happy ending? Do you get any
hope.
extra?
Is it made of gold? But no, Pro Tools Ultimate, like retail box price is like $3,200.
For what?
Increased track count and like 5.1 mixing capability.
Do you really mix in 5.1? I guess if you're doing stuff on movie soundtracks.
I ended up having to get it at one point because someone actually sent me like an OMF file that had a bunch of 5.1 surround information encoded into it, and Pro Tools like, I don't know what to do with it. So I had to I had to get Pro Tools Ultimate, which was I was like, oh man, this is gonna be great, and it's like, oh, the Prestige, and then you get it, and you're like, wow, this is.
Well, it's just sad because I've got all these plugins that I'm running through Adobe Audition at the moment, so that just kind of hurts your soul.
Maybe take part of that $5,000.
Yeah, actually, that's a great idea. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate the turnout. Thanks for the super chats. We love you. And we are going to see you next Friday. Video coming out on Monday. And we'll see you then.